Now, I have a friend of mine. He's called Adrian. Uh, Adrian has a very, very interesting CV. He was a DJ, a radio DJ. At some point, at the time when those jobs were for S6 dropouts, um, then they have a startup company. It's called TruIT. It's no longer a startup. It's now a big company called TruIT. He's at the head of it. Also, my other very good friend is here. He'll be talking to us very soon about the mind. Um, so the thing that pulled me towards TruIT is one. They have had so many challenges. I'm not going to talk about them. They will talk about them. But every time I have met them, they're doing something about it. Okay? And that's the thing we don't do in our generation. In our generation, we always have someone to point at. My mother never used to say I'm beautiful. Uh, my dad never picked me up from school. 40 years down the road, women's marriages are breaking because their dads never picked them from school. And then you ask, where is your dad? And then they say, oh, my dad died. He died 20 years ago. So here we are solving a problem between one person who is alive and one dead person. So usually I ask the question, what do we do because your dad is not here? He's not here to state his case, okay? So, and that's the reason why I called him here, because every time I have been with them, they have a new challenge. Because the internet and the way we perceive it is already a challenge. The whole business is a challenge. I've just told you. The way we are using internet now is, single women quarreling, then housewives accusing younger, light-skinned women of taking their men. It's all just there, I've seen this thing with Mama Tendo, eh? You know those things, eh? This woman, how can you take my... And then the guy says, oh, by the way, this is my PA. And then she can't take it back because this is the lady who delivers the money to school fees for their kids. Okay? So they're using internet, and the way we are using it means that their business is a very complicated one because they have to convince you to use the internet wisely. They have made it possible for us to use internet everywhere, right? Bus stops and where? Yes, they have public Wi-Fi. I'm sure it will be a refreshing thing for my sister here, Faith. Faith is struggling with bundles. I'm joking. I'm just disturbing her. But that's my young sister. I hope this will make you famous finally. But the whole point is I'll speak all night, but please be open your ears to people who are actually solving problems, okay? Then you'll find that yours are much smaller and smaller as the day goes by. If you're complaining about transport, someone has been arrested 70 times. You've never been even near jail. Okay, but from the complaints of transport, you could probably not afford the transport to go to jail. But police always has a free ride. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite Adrian, CEO TruIT.
Thank you so much, Solomon. May I kindly sit? Thank you. It's cool. It's lonely up here. When it gets hot, I'll lose the jacket or the coat. Thank you, my brother. Yeah. See, there's one interesting thing about Solomon and I. We've been friends for a couple of years now. But we've been blessed with many things in common. I'm not working to get to his size. I think he's the one working to get to my size. So I inspire him in one way. But I say I'm married to the most beautiful, the most wonderful lady in the world. He argues the same. Who wins? That's really, they say beauty lies in the hands of the beer holder. The beholder, eh? The beholder. So this evening, I just want to share a few things. I would love to share my story, but after listening to this gentleman, my story will look like a joke. So let's skip my story. I'm glad you gave me, a topic, at least so I'm a bit, I have something to play around. We'll be talking about digitization in relation to Africa, or to Uganda in this case, and how digitization is helping us to develop, and the question the major question will be, how do we stand to benefit from this whole digitization thing? And we're talking about things going digital. And how do we tufunira muwa? Like we often ask, mfunira muwa as an individual or as a country or as a family? And I just want to keep bouncing a couple of ideas back and forth. I wish we all had microphones. I would be asking questions. But as I share, please feel free to say, don't call me Mzee. Just excuse me. Can you expound on this or the other as we go along? Is that okay? I'll try and be as brief as possible. We have most of the evening. So, digitization in Africa. When you think about, most of us when we're in primary or at the lower levels of school, we're taught about farming. And one of the things that's bringing money into this economy and usually brings money into any household is farming. But when we're younger, we're mostly taught about subsistence farming. Who can define subsistence farming? I'm not going to ask you to, don't worry, but just put up your hand so you know that you're paying attention. Yeah, so we have a few people who can still define subsistence farming. The rest of us probably skipped that class or were sleeping after eating. But, where things are going, subsistence farming won't cut it. It just can't cut it. You can no longer grow food for your household, and then you sell off the surplus. You were in the class, you see? You can't do that anymore. If you choose to go farming, you go big. That's what we call commercial agriculture. But for you to do that, you're not going to hire thousands and thousands of people to dig. You're going to mechanize the farm, most likely. And on top of mechanizing it, these days we're able to digitize the farms. There was a clip going around a couple of days ago about storied housing for pigs. And that's in China. And these guys have thousands of pigs. But, the chunk of land is not so big, but they've chosen to go up. They're at about 5 floors now, and they plan to go up to 7. But how many of us have thought of such simple things? These pigs take elevators. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so when you think about agriculture, we must go commercial. That's one way of bringing in income. Another sector that's very important is manufacturing and processing. Now, these guys have taken, I'll still use that example. They've taken the whole manufacturing, the processing part, the way they process these pigs from when they're young to, when they're slaughtered. Everything is done within that building. These things don't get sunlight as we know it. They have artificial light in there, and the way it's like a factory for pigs, for lack of a better word. But by the time it's out where the very people buying, actually, I think most of it is actually consumed within China. But, just the manufacturing and processing industry, it's a big thing. And then you ask yourself, but what can I manufacture? We have one of our mentors. I say our because I like to tie on to, when you find something good. Now, my brother he had a mentor before I got to know this gentleman. And every time we sit with this guy, we just keep quiet and listen. Because there's nothing we're going to tell him that he hasn't seen or heard. And this gentleman went into manufacturing. And over the last just couple of years, he's gone from nothing, and by nothing I mean nothing, where you've lost everything up to your car. And you walk out and and you say, okay, I'm going to start again. And I talked about having a wonderful wife. You see, one thing is you can't argue with the testimony, right? I love saying that because this is someone's story. It's a true story. One fine day, I believe we'll have him here. One fine day, we'll have him here, and he'll share his story. He pretty much lost it all, but he had his wife and his kids. And these people didn't give up on him. And he stayed home for a bit, thinking. And by the time he got back on his feet, he said, let me get into this manufacturing thing. And he started, we call it small. Said, okay, what do I have? I have maybe this car property here. Let me sell this, get some money. Do this. Nachikwasaganya, for lack of a better word. He sketched. Said, okay, the bank is also, I have some good credit. The bank can also, fix me up here. He figured it out and got some money to get him moving. 2 years later, the man was debt-free. He'd bought, yes, we were not materialistic, but he'd bought 2 brand new cars, if I remember correctly. Actually, I think for the entire family. Debt-free, 2 years. But the man had lost everything. But it just took him, some months of being, down. But he still had his family. And these people encouraged him and told him, you can make it, you can make it. They believed in him. And one fine day he was able to bounce back. So regardless of what you're going through, that idea will come. That idea will come. It could be in manufacturing. It could be in processing. Another industry that's, another source of income is the service industry. Services, hotels. Okay, massage parlors and places like that can be gray. It can be a bit gray, but, the service industry is a big thing. Food. Preparing food. It may seem simple. We had someone do some simple math for us the other day and say a kilo of groundnuts is how much? Raw. About 6,000. If you get them and hypothetically you fry just that 1 kilo and you break it down into those small packets. But we turn njugu, and binyewa, those small packets, and you sell them. When you're done selling that kilo, you should have about 20,000 shillings. So you've made a profit of over 10. So if you put back another 6K and you just do that consistently, you're offering, it's a simple service. You will lose some sleep because you have to get up early to prepare these things, and you have to leave home early so you can, put these things out to wherever your distribution channel is, and then you grow. But many of us are saying, banda baba changa nsike binye, wow. A graduate? No. Another industry that's really trending now is ICT. ICT is big. There's so many things. When we talk about ICT, then you just think of buying computers and probably pangaring them, and then ask you where's the mouse, and but that was it then. But now ICT, so many things. Solomon said with the example of the phone and how everything has been consolidated into this one device. If you want to disorganize me, take these 2 things away, which was done to me this morning. We were attending a conference, and His Excellency was going to be there. So they tell us, you can't get in with your devices, no electronic devices. I'm like, okay. So of course it was very, very interesting to see. Everyone gets to the door and then they tell you, you need to deposit your phones there. Everyone first stands back and makes a few frantic calls. Agundi, so hey, you tell the wife. I had to call and tell her, I'm not kidnapped. We're going into the conference and I won't have the phone for the next couple of hours. Call the office and tell them, guys, I'm not available for a few hours. Turn the phone off and go in there. But ICT is a big thing. Most of us can do so much with these things. But what do we do? Many of us just buy MBs or ask for free Wi-Fi wherever it is, and we're just playing around on social media. But social media can also be used as a source of income, can be used as a tool. And all this is moving into the digitization world. Everything is going electronic. It's a bitter truth, but that's what it is. So even as you sit out there, I have a question for you. When you look around with what's happening, what do you think is the next big thing? And how do you position yourself so that this wave doesn't hit you? What's the next big thing? We can't talk about internet now. By the time we joined the business, it was struggling a bit, and there were just a few big players. If you're not a telco, you're pretty much not in the internet business. But we got an opportunity to partner with a strategic person who was in another random country, because we had done business with them, probably 20 years before that. selling other things. This guy said, but I know these guys, and contacted us. And it took us about 3 years of deliberations. And even then, we contacted a dear friend. He's well-learned. He's at the head of another very prominent company. And we said, you know what, you understand figures, you understand business. Help us chew through these figures. When we do it, do you think this thing will work? And this guy told us, you know, he took a couple of days. And when we met him again, we were having a meeting to decide, are we going or not going? Because at some point you have to choose. This guy told us, techijja kola. Techijja kola, you will lose your money. We were crushed. Personally, I was crushed. We had invested a couple of sleepless nights with Andrew is one of our founding partners. Andrew Jombwe, my brother Moses is one of our founding partners, and we were blessed to have our father, Mr. Stephen Musoke, as one of the 4 founding partners of the company. We were really crushed because we had spent lots of hours doing research, putting figures together, and when you have subject matter experts tell you, chifu nyo. You know where you leave a meeting thinking, we're thinking that's the next big thing, and now, you know, how do we pick ourselves up? Our dad told us, you know, don't listen to that guy. Go back, work those figures again. This thing can work. Go back, do what you need to do, but this thing can work. Now he's an innovator. That's who he is by nature. So pretty much every day or every other day, he'll send you an email. Kano Kalabye, how do we work on this? Have you guys thought about this? And that's who he is. And there's a reason why we asked him to be part of the team, because we saw that element in him. I bring the business side of things to the table. Andrew is great with processes. Moses is great technically. So when you put the 4 of us together, you have a complete team. But if I had said, I have this idea, let me go and work on it alone, I would have eaten the pie and choked on it and probably died. Businesscally, not. It's a new word. As in, the business would have died if I had thought, you know, this idea has come up, let me go and do it alone, and I, try and do it alone. But you need to surround yourself with the right people. When they talked about the mentors, that's very, very important. I'm a strong believer in mentorship. It's a very, very big thing. It's a time-consuming thing. Because like I said, we go and we sit. And when you're going to see these people, you don't meet them they don't meet you at your terms. No. You drive out of the city, because many of these guys have accomplished it. So the man sits at his ranch and says, yeah, you'll find me there. Or on his farm across the lake. So you take a speedboat or a canoe with an engine, whatever you take, but you go and spend a couple of hours and you listen. And you listen. And you don't go empty-handed. Yes. You don't go empty-handed. So even as you think about the big thing, the next big thing, what is it? I'll ask you a question. Will you take the conventional route or the non-conventional route? Will you do things as everyone has always been doing them? Will you produce the news that the Monitor New Vision is producing? Or will you pick a non-conventional idea from the UK Sun? You heard his story. He picked a non-conventional route. And it worked. That's the reason he's here today, sharing with you. We too picked a non-conventional route when we're going into IT service provision. Everyone at that point, the big thing was fiber. And I think 3G was just coming in. So everyone's 3G, fiber. And we said, no. You see, everyone's doing that. Why don't we do satellite? And that's why people told us, you guys have lost it. You have lost it. But by the grace of God, we are here today. I'm sitting before you, sharing. The last I checked, at least as of 5:30 this evening, the company was still, it was still open. The last I checked. Yeah. We just call and, yeah. But do you take the conventional or the non-conventional route? I had a lovely opportunity of sitting with someone who's choosing to do things non-conventionally. She has a great artistic mind. Brilliant artistic mind. But when you see her, moving around, you might not be hi. But when I spent a couple of hours with her, she's the one who asked me to catch up, and she offered breakfast. Said, I just want to spend some time with you and pitch something. And she shared different ideas, but she's taking a non-conventional route. Because everyone else will say, Genda, Osome, Orumala, S6, Olina Genda wa Makerere. When you say I want to go to Nkozi because they're more focused, Nkozi, what? When you even mention things like uptake that's just trouble. But the people who've succeeded by taking the non-conventional route, my big brother, the reason I'm sharing stories is because I want to make it as real as possible and not superficial. That told us about theory. No, my brother, when he was done with S6, he's a smart guy. While everyone else was doing 4 subjects in those days when you could still do 4 subjects, he did 3. He did Meg. And he was saying, no, you have to add on art or TD or computer. Computer wasn't there then. You must do 4 subjects. Why? They don't have an answer, but they just say you must do 4 subjects. But he says, guys, I'm not an artist. That's probably the only option I have. I'm not going to add on music. It will take a lot of my time. And so he said, let me do Meg. When he gets done with his S6, he's done very, very well. He's admitted to campus. But he says, I think I want to try this IT thing. You should have seen they literally called a family meeting. Omwana aganya kugenda ku university. But it's not that he said, I'm not going to school. He's just taking a non-conventional route. He's saying, look, guys, I could go to university and do whatever course, START, or by then it will be START. I don't know what it is. Mass comm, or any of these other conventional courses, or accounting, even engineering. But I said, no, that's not where my heart is. The way I see things, let me go and do IT. And they ask him, but IT. And he says, yeah, I'll get certified. And these things are, if you're in the right, depending on who you see, they're equivalent to some of these degree certificates we get. And he says, I'm taking that route. And he was backed by our parents because they paid his fees. So obviously he was backed by them. Now when people see him today, he's very successful in the IT world. He's certified in tons of things. If he was to do what many people do and put those initials, MCSE, ITIL, and all these other things, his business card would be full of certifications, and then you'd not find the name. So he leaves all that out and just puts his name. But then my journey is different because my heart felt differently. I said, okay, let me go to school and do a bachelor's degree. Now, if I hadn't taken that route, I wouldn't have met Jombwe. Jombwe took another route. He first did his IT things. Then after a while, he said, let me go to uni and get a degree. And we met in the class. And what bonded us is, while we were on campus, we were working. Campus was 4 hours a day. The rest of the day, we were working. The pay was not great, for sure. I know how much he was making. He knew how much I was making as well. It was not great. But we're working. And we're being mentored by then. The people who are under whose feet we sat, they were mentoring us. We were not in it for the money. So they would give you some pocket money, and you survive. And the other thing that helped us bond is we were doing an IT course, business IT. But we had friends in the class who would show up for a programming module with a counter book. You've gone for a web design class with a counter book. So, what are you going to Yeah, help me understand. For business law, I understand. They were taking notes. Okay. Yeah, we just, okay. So that helped us bond. So we would try and get there early. If I would get there early, because the sockets were countable in the class. And you had to sit closer to the back. There were no sockets at the front. I don't know why. So we'd sit there, open up our laptops. It was easier to type. So if you ask, if you ask my brother to write for you something, yeah, his handwriting to this day it's great, eh? But it was easy for us. We found it easier to type, and that's how we bonded. Because we shared a couple of things in common, and it's actually interesting that then we talked about the idea of starting a company and doing IT things. We didn't know what. But we didn't, it's not then that we said, yeah, let's start TruIT now, what, this is how we'll do it. No. Campus gets done, we all get, sent to different places. We all work. And while we were working those places, that's when the opportunity came. That's when the opportunity came. And, when they asked me, who can we work with to get this done? I was like, I know someone. Because we had still been in touch. I know someone. So my part was to think of the team to get it started. And I'm glad that's the team we started with. Because 7 years down the road, 8 years down the road, the team has grown. We have people we're working with, people we employ. We've been fortunate to travel to lots of nations, to partner with different people, to get to the point where people now call you from another country and say, look, guys, there's this work I want to do, but I want to do it with you. And, that kind of favor does not come overnight. If you're consistent with your work, but you have a good work ethic, you carry integrity. Because if we had the options of making quick money, those options they were there. Unfortunately, we fell for one of the traps, and we watched a guy walk out with, a significant amount of money from a deal, and realized the guy had played us properly. Because we wanted to make a quick buck or a quick sale, we compromised our values. We're not perfect. We compromised our values. This guy came to us, presented this thing, and made it look like, But on this other end, he was really out to play us. And the day he walked out of the office with his cut of the pie, we realized we had been compromised. We couldn't sleep because it didn't sit right with us. So when a similar opportunity was presented, I remember I was in the garage, in the workshop, and Andrew calls me and says, Adrian, what do we do? And I said, no, we can't. So once the two of us agreed and said, let's not compromise again. And then we're able to, influence the rest of the team and tell them, guys, we'll not take that deal because they want us to compromise our values as an organization and now compromise our values as individuals. At the end of the day, that's not sustainable. You will close. Be sure you will close. The reason this gentleman has been to jail 70 times, 60 to 70 times, is because he's refused to compromise his stand. He knows what he stands for. He knows what he believes in. And he'll say, guys, red is red, blue is blue. Not, it looked like bluish, red, purplish. No, he'll say the way he sees it, from his point of view, from his perspective. And that's why I say that's the freedom of speech and expression. He'll tell you that, for me, the way I see it, that deal is not favoring the country because these are the facts I have. This guy is taking out this guy is taking out that, and this is the security we've put as a nation. And he'll publish that. Then when you read through it, like, maybe the man has some. And then because he's spoken the truth, because we said there's no false news, because he's expressed his opinion, he's arrested for expressing his opinion. But like he said, the following day, then he's let go because the case won't hold. But they've inconvenienced him, but that turns out in a way as an opportunity because his fame goes higher. There's no bad publicity. Any publicity is always good. Any form of publicity is good. So, digitization. How many of us had the opportunity of reading encyclopedias even know what how many know what an encyclopedia is? Countable hands. A few of us know. How many would visit our parents' offices or our uncles' offices or the headmaster's office when you had been naughty, and you see a pile of very, very neatly arranged from volume 1 to like 32 or 1 to 13. There's the maroon ones, then the green ones, the blue ones. Did they ever read those things? Or they were just part of the office deco? I actually don't know how you'd find what you're looking for in there. Because you just look at 1 to 13. Now, where do I start from? But anyway, things changed when the internet came into existence. Things like Wikipedia, Google. Right now, anything you ask, when they asked us what happened in, what date did you give? 17th March? I'm sure if you were given just 1 minute, you would find it. But if you were given that encyclopedia, set, volume, or volumes, would you find it? No. But digitization helped to translate all this data to an electronic form, easily accessible. Very easily accessible. And the trend was it moved to a more centralized kind of thing. So you had to have a humongous server sucking power like a problem. It's as big as, you need to spend lots just to cool it, and all the data is stored there. Then the trend moved to, okay, now we can store some data on the cloud. Now most of your data is actually stored on the cloud. Because these days when you want to buy a laptop or a device to use, they'll tell you, make sure it has Wi-Fi, make sure you have an internet connection, because most of your things will be stored on the cloud. God forbid, if you lost your phone today, if you were given an identical phone or a newer model and given about 1 hour, you would synchronize and your phone would be exactly the same as the other one was. So you would have only lost, most people, if you've done things right, you'd have only lost the hardware, but you no longer lose your content because it's digitized. So you're able to quickly share things, store things, retrieve things, and that's where things are going. And then when you ask yourself the next big thing, he mentioned the concept of, what concept did he mention? Blockchain. It's a big thing. It's we're having people struggling back and forth. Will it work? Can it work? How will it work? And the people who are scared the most, unfortunately or fortunately, are the regulators, because they just don't understand it. Or some people are choosing not to understand it. When you have things like, when things are moving, and President Obama had a very interesting saying. I picked this one up today. He said, we're not here to be scared of the future. Rather, we're here to shape the future. Let's not be scared of where things are going. Position yourself in a way that you will influence and benefit from the next big thing. So if things are taking that route, go and study on it. Go read on it. If there's a conference in town, go and attend it. We've seen things like artificial intelligence, where you have, the other day, our little one comes to me and says, one of our little ones, Papa, help me unlock your iPad. Like, why do you want me to unlock the iPad? Help me unlock your iPad. I'm like, what do you want to do? I want to talk to Siri. I'm like, what do you want to do? I want to talk to Siri. Now, for those who don't know who Siri is your personal assistant on Mac devices. So she wants to talk to, the two of us are in the house. She wants to talk to Siri. Her mother is there, I am here. Yes, the screen is on. But so I tell her, why don't you come and talk to us instead? But artificial intelligence is where things, it's a new thing. So now you can pretty much do all those things and just, hi Siri, and you tell Siri what you want Siri to do. Gone are the days of, Banang a secretary, set up the other appointment call. No, you just tell Siri, do this. And the different software developers have made different assistants of all sorts. These devices are learning our trends so that they start suggesting all sorts of, things to you. When you open up your Facebook, the ads you get, these people are collecting lots of data and learning what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Every time you open Google, they're picking your data. Every time you open your maps, they start learning your routes. So depending on where you are, if they see that every single day at about 7, you get into your car and drive into the city. After a couple of days, it will suggest that wherever you're departing from at 7 in the morning is home. And wherever you park or you get to at about 8 or whatever time it is in the morning is work or school. It will ask you, is this school? And with the newer cars, the other day I was in a showroom looking at a lovely new car. Yes. They say, write the vision, make it plain, make it simple. So I went to look at the new car. So what I know what I'm... but now if I don't know what it costs, I don't know what it can do, how will I work towards? So I went and, after they've shown me all the features and all that, I've connected my phone to it. As soon as I turn the engine off, my phone beeps and shows your parked location is, and it gives you GPS coordinates. I'm like, So all along, these people even know, that this was in a building, in a showroom. But as soon as you turn off the engine, the car is learning, the phone is learning, everything is learning that, okay, you've parked your car right here. And those simple things are here to help us, not for you to be offended and say, sure, why is my car stalking me? Why do I want to know, why does my car want to know where I've parked? Because in some of these parking lots, they're not as wonderful as our basement down here, where, you can see end to end. They're parking lots where you have thousands of cars, and people drive very similar cars to yours. And it has block A, B, C, and D. So if you just park and walk, and your phone hasn't stored that, after you're done with all your shopping in the mall, for the ladies, you've had your wonderful day with the girls. You see? It is assuming he's on his way. That's the map. If you just walk out and, go do your shopping, spend your time at the spa with the girls and, do your nails and have a wonderful time. By the time you're done, will you remember where you parked the car? Absolutely not. In Uganda, most likely, yes. But as you travel, because I believe, you're not destined to just be here. No, there's greatness on the inside of you. That's the reason you've chosen out of, the thousands of people who received the invitations to come. You say, let me go and see where this thing is heading. You chose to be here. But if you fight it, if you fight where things are going, the wave will leave you. And then after that, you start playing catch-up. When you look at the automation of things, we're having things like smart homes, smart cars. I've just told you about the car. And now things are moving to self-drive, where you enter the car and just punch in your location. Well, things moved. It's just that we're not doing that here. Because our borders and taxi guys and pedestrians too, Generally, the way we use the roads it's different from many of the other places. I think it's been compared to only Nigeria. Yes. I think Uganda and Nigeria, we're hustling. Who's at the top of?
Nigeria, hands down.
And so we come in shortly after them. But, in the more advanced places or in the more advanced cities where the street lights are working, the traffic lights are working, there's Wi-Fi across pretty much most of the city. The streets are marked, yes. It's not kirira wali, haujja kulaba ekiswa, waliwo muyembe. So what happens the day they cut down the muyembe? How will you give We live right by the main road, but even directing people, we have to use the other signpost. Now, look out for that signpost. When you've passed, you stop, then you call, and then we tell you where to. But we are by the main road. But if we had, a simple gate number or plot number, punch in the direction, well, you can. You can now. But punch in the direction and get there. And the car will get you in, get you there. Smart homes, you're able to control your home from here. Okay, not many people are running things like ACs and automated homes, but the time is coming when you're going to. Because you just can't get home in time, you're able to close the curtains electronically, turn the heat on or turn the AC on, depending on what you prefer. You can even warm your food so that as you get home, everything has worked out. There are clips that have gone around where you see all these sorts of things. As you get closer to home, your car is speaking to the whole system at home and telling them, okay, we're 1 kilometer out. So, everything starts working together. So that by the time you get to the house, it's warm and ready for you. But now if you say, Nedda, Sagala, the day you have the opportunity to travel to a country where winter is winter, yeah, not our thing. Here when it's cold, when we're in 18 degrees and we're like, no. Where you travel to a place where you have to turn on the engine and leave the car for about 10 minutes just to warm so you can be able to drive to work. You will appreciate the ability to do that remotely, or the ability to turn on the heat or the gas in your house and just warm the house, or cool the house in the summer because it's extremely hot. But it may not make business sense, or it may not make financial sense for you to run the AC the whole day. So in the age we're in, it's an age of agility. It's an age where you need to adapt. Things keep changing by the day, and they change faster with each new day, with each new year. We need to adapt. It's the age of agility. And it's no longer a question of big versus small. It's not how big you are versus how small you are. Not so much. It's now how fast you are compared to how slow the other adapters are. How fast do you adapt to, and even as we adapt, of course, you adapt with wisdom. Don't just take everything as it comes. You have to sieve through and say, okay, what adds value, what doesn't add value. We have things like WhatsApp. You can spend your whole day successfully on WhatsApp. They've made it possible. All you have to do is just put status and watch. And the next thing you know, an hour is gone. Then you first go, read some messages, then come back, status, and watch. And 2 hours gone. So even as you spend your time, be wise about it. As you're adapting to all these new things, think through it. Don't just go, wah. Think through, work it out, have a plan. Be inquisitive. Don't allow to get left behind. Be inquisitive. Things are changing. Money is not kept the way it used to be kept anymore. I have a good friend in the house. They've started a mobile payment solution. And these things keep the bankers on, awake at night. So much that there's a bank that just started doing 24/7 services. A bank. Who has heard of, who remembers the days when the bank would close at about 2 or 3? They open at 9, and by 2:30, if you're not in, sorry, come tomorrow. Paying school fees, yeah. And they stop on Friday. You'll next see them Monday. But now, even Sundays, almost all banks work. At least they'll have a branch open somewhere. Now these guys have taken to the next level. They're open 24/7, 365. Because they must adapt. Otherwise, the mobile payment solutions are... they don't close, because anytime you wake up, you can buy anything you need to buy. Now, online shopping has come in, and you can order for things, and they're delivered to your place. So the way things are going, you have to be smart about how you adapt to these things. You have to be very, very smart. Okay. I want to open up for a few questions. As we get into that, I hope we've picked a few things. I just threw a number of things at you that have to do with digitization and the trend that technology is taking. And I hope that, we're able to adapt. We're able to make use of these different things that are available to us, these tools. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. I'll take 4 questions because of time. We need to finish by 8. So I'll take 4 questions. 1, I'll not take any written questions after I take the 4 questions. Most people have a habit of asking questions after, so please come. Another one, Edgar, please come. Who else has a question? No other questions? You all understand digitization? Okay. Clap for Edgar as it comes. That guy is just smart, man. It's like he's going for a job interview. Just clap for him. Just clap. Clap harder, guys. That's the problem with Africans. You're always hating on each other. Be together. Okay, because of the suit, let's just, yeah.
Good evening. Yeah, I want to first appreciate Mr. Solomon and Mr. Muyinda and the gentleman that has just completed. I've learned a lot of things. First of all, I've learned ideas. Opportunities are always created as individual opportunities, but we need teamwork to peruse through or to go slightly above what we can do as individuals. But I've also learned about challenges and creating them, making them opportunities. But then there's a certain question I have with me. We've all talked about the positive part of it, and we've not heard of the negative part of it. And most of the times, okay, I've done business, I'm still in business. We always hear so much about things. When you hear about the good things people have done, and you get into business and it's a little bit different, especially at the beginning, majority of the people tend to run away. So how different can people perceive the ideas, create the opportunities, and be strong at the times when things tend to be different from what they expect? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm asking about, you talked about the age we are in, it's dynamic, and I'm seeing a challenge here that after when you're starting, you have a vision to accomplish, but with all these dynamics, you are tempted to change your vision and actually the products you deal in. You are tempted to change, and yet you are changing to adapt to what is changing still. So are you going to be in a system where you're tossed around like that, you change depending on the dynamics, or is it necessary to remain grounded and say, okay, is it in any way beneficial to say this is what we deal in no matter the changes that are happening? For instance, you've decided like TruIT is doing satellite internet. I'm imagining there's something else that comes up and it's like an alternative to satellite internet. Yeah? Is it necessary for you to adapt to it and say now, satellite internet, first hold on? Or you will say, for us, we are convinced satellite internet is the thing. We're going to do this whether there's an alternative or not.
Good evening. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot. Okay. Peace? Peace. Yes. All right. Okay, you had talked about teamwork, because I see the other guy for Red Pepper, they worked as a team. You and Pastor Jumbo, you guys are a team. But, okay, the last time I tried working with people, okay, it didn't really come out so well. So I think I would rather do things alone. But, okay, it looks kind of impossible, the way you people are talking. Yes.
They're twins. That's how they make. Here. Just come.
Thank you so much. My question, Amy Itogot, my question is in respect to digitalization. I happen to do a lot of investigation work, and I noticed that over time, the digitalization had made it very easy to find people, trace people, and so as a person, I felt like these things, when you do it and you're able to easily locate someone. So how would someone really guard themselves in this era of digitalization and make sure at least there's a bit of privacy? Because you find that it becomes very easy to locate someone, find out their schedule just by, the internet, and it gets a bit scary. So how can someone really protect their privacy? Because I know the easiest thing is they'll tell you don't have a profile picture or don't send a WhatsApp status. But even besides WhatsApp, it's very easy for someone to get to you by using other means.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Adrian, please take us away.
Thank you so much. Very interesting questions. Edgar, challenges are there. I've not mentioned the nights I've lost sleep. And I don't mean that, yeah. I felt like, no, you sleep at 10 and 10:30. Okay, you try to sleep at 10, and you accidentally doze. And 10:30 you're up, and you're thinking, up to about 2. Meanwhile, your neighbor is in dreamland. Your roommate. Then you accidentally doze off again at 2 because you're genuinely tired, but your mind is racing because you have a contract to deliver. You have services to deliver the following day, but by the time you left office, the solution was not working. But the client needs it the following morning. That's one. Or you have obligations to the regulatory bodies, to bodies like NSSF and URA. You know, their statutory demands, or at the end of the year, you have to file your returns. But somehow you've done the figures and it's not adding up. And you're asking yourself, Lord, is this the day we are closing? Is it official? And you genuinely, and by 6 in the morning, you're up. You're still thinking. Those days are there. I've not told you of the days we've had to fire friends. You sit across a friend, someone you've worked with for years. You know he has a family, you have a family. He's got a child or 2. And you're telling him, look, I'm really sorry, but I have to let you go. Not because you hate him, not because he's not a non-performer. Well, the non-performers have been there. Those ones you let go, but you don't feel bad because it's for the good of the company. But here you're letting someone go because as a company, you must restructure and you must reorganize yourselves because at the end of the day, the shareholders want you to be profitable. You set out to start this company. It's not an NGO. You're not just there giving out things. No. At the end of the year, they want to see a profit. So your decisions must be for the good of the company. And we've had to let people go. And it's unfortunate that my role, that's part of the job description, it's not written there. That they say you're part of recruitment, training, and they don't tell you also, human resource. Amy and the legal people put it in a very, very nice way. They don't tell you that, by the way, when it comes to firing people, unfortunately, you sign on that letter and you tell them. So those days are there. The challenges are there. But with the right support team, you're able to pull through. With the right team, you're able to make it through. There are days Andrew and I have sat in a car and we cry. Yes. And we cry because things are hard. Yeah, we are emotional. Not just with Andrew. There are days I've been summoned by the board and I'm thinking, today I'm losing my job. And they grill you and they squeeze you and you leave and you get home and your wife asks you, what's up? And you have no words to say. But the following day you have to get up and keep the doors open and make sure the company is still running. Those days are there. It's not a bed of roses that you just wake up and just say, say. No. You have to make tough decisions. You have to think. You have to strategize. And, it will lead me into the second question. How do you adapt? What Alfred asked. When something is not, you said the vision is where you're going. The mission is how you're getting there. So you tweak things within your mission and your objectives, how you're doing things. That will change. Over the last couple of months, we've had a team that's come in to shake us up because we've been doing things one way. And we think it's not, the way things are going, it's not working. And we said, okay, you know what? Let's call in someone from the outside and let them come and sit and ask us the tough questions. Because my employees or our employees won't ask us, the tough questions. But now these people have come and you're paying them, but they're the ones asking you the hard questions and telling you, okay, now I need you to share with me your plan for the next 6 months. And you think, okay, the plan was, but now things changed. So you keep adapting. If you're doing something and it's not working, don't continue doing it. We've been told that's madness. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So your vision won't change. At the end of the day, for me, my desire is to leave a legacy. One, as a husband, I desire to be a role model. As a businessman, and as a minister of the gospel. Those 3 things, for me. So how I do it may change. Today I'm here at Pencil Talks. But in the morning I was attending a conference and I was not listening. So I cannot pretend to know it all, but I adapt. You keep adapting. You keep tweaking things as you go along. You tighten, we've been talking about bleeding. If you're bleeding somewhere, you deal with that place. You have to close off that wound. The doctors use fancy terms like cauterizing. Where they burn that place, but it stops the bleeding. It's like a slight burn, but it stops the bleeding. And it saves your life. So you need to adapt. As things change, you adapt. So yes, we're doing satellite. We started off as purely satellite. But along the way, we said, you know what? Fiber has stabilized. Fiber has picked up. But then the industry also changed. Before, if you wanted to do fiber, you had to wake up and dig from pretty much Mombasa to Kampala. We're not going to do that. But today, players have come into the market and said, look, I have infrastructure, use, and pay me a certain rate. That means now I can play in the fiber space. I can play in the wireless space. So the industry has has changed, we've adapted. But we will not stick there and say, we used to do fiber satellite, we will always do satellite. We are the same yesterday, today, and no, that's not our quality. That's someone else. That's someone else. Peace has asked about teamwork. We've been let down too. There are days I'm not happy with what he has done. There are days he's not happy with me delaying to make a decision. And he's like, Adrian, you're wasting time. But he'll tell me. And he'll tell me, you know what? You've cost us this amount of business because you didn't submit this in time. Or you didn't give a yes or a no. And he'll tell me up front. That's teamwork. But if he's to let me continue in my random ways, we'll crash. We need to correct one another. That's one. But even as you're planning for that team, you surround yourself. Don't build the team on emotions. Yeah. It's not that one, because today you like her, tomorrow you don't like her. So when you're building that team, you don't build it on emotions. Build it on strategy. Think strategically. What value is this person? I shared with you the 4 that started the company. One is just his business acumen is through the roof. Another is great with processes. Another is great technically. Another understands finance and administration. So when you put the 4 together, each of us has something we're bringing to the table. It does not mean that you know everything, because no, your teammates will also add value. But then, a couple of years into the business, we expanded the team and said, no, let's add in, someone. 4 in the team, the 4 of us as we are. We're a bit laid back. We're non-confrontational. We are relaxed people. So we brought in a lovely lady who happens to be our mother. Now for her, she's tugende. What's the idea? What are we doing? Let's go now. Well, Adrian will sit back and think and analyze. So now when you strike the balance, you'll see that we'll get the timing just right. We will not rush without thinking through it, and we will not overthink through it, that by the time we want to move, we've missed it. And that's just one of the members who was added onto the team. But the reason we've also brought consultants is because we want them to give us that extra thing. So that's all part of teamwork. You keep building, but with a strategic mindset, not an emotional mindset. How do you protect yourself? Privacy. Calls for a lot of wisdom. When these social platforms had just started, many of the people were genuine. You would post, this is what I'm doing, this is where I've been, but we've also realized that the crooks are now using it. So as soon as you say, we're out at the beach, and they see you and your wife, they're like, that means the house is empty. So, they'll know that, let's go and attack. So you have to be very wise about some of these things. You have to be very, very wise. Recently, there was a gentleman who was remodeling his house, and the contractor records a video and walks from the gate, walks around the house, walks through the back door, walks through the kitchen, through the dining, goes up the stairs. So, he's literally laid out the plans for your entire house. So if a thief watches that video, this guy is thinking he's marketing himself, but he's putting you at risk. And as soon as this gentleman saw it, he told him, take it down immediately because you're compromising my security. So you have to be wise about it. It's a brilliant marketing tool, but you have to weigh. Is it worth it to have a video of someone walk through right from your gate all the way to your bedroom and walk through your entire house and get out and go to your kids' room and then get out and go back down, show where your garage is, walk past your cars because now you've been identified with their number plates, and accidentally get your askari walking by. So you see, they with one gun, that's what we call a sasidimu, just one and kakaka. So we have to be wise about these different things that we do. Many of these platforms, as you sign on, they ask you today. Facebook was asking me, do you want to review your privacy terms? I was like, remind me later because I need to sit and think it through. I don't want to just check, and submit. Because there's information that you share that you don't want anyone to be seeing. What do you share it with your friends, or is it open to the public, or is it, so you have to be wise about these things. Read through, think through before you share. Don't just put everything out there for everyone to see. No, it's not very beneficial. Unless you're a slay queen. Yeah, but even they have to be wise about what they're doing because the day you're choosing, breakfast in bed, the day you're choosing to get married, you realize that you've put your entire, all the nights you are out, different people, different drinks. When you're still in the zone, when you're out of the zone, your friends carrying you. So you meet this young man and you've met in fellowship and you're telling him, yeah, you see, I'm a very humble girl. And then one of his friends, like Solomon, who, because of the nature of his work, is on social media quite a lot, tells me, Adrian, that friend of yours, I think I've seen her somewhere. Yeah, sends you. And you're like, hey, no, she's humble indeed. But because she chose to post everything without reservation, without thinking it through. So there's everything you put out there lately almost can't be retrieved. And that's where things like blockchain are coming in. They were saying it's going to have immutable records, and we know it's only God who doesn't change. But these guys are working towards having records that can't be changed for security purposes. So that everything that you push out there, once it goes on record like this, to change it, you have to manipulate all the people on the blockchain. And I hope we'll do a blockchain one day. Yeah. We'll have to. That one we'll do a conference on it. I don't think it will be a session. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, guys. Truly appreciate it.
Please clap for him. Adrian has a lot of humility, but when you hear him talking about boards, it means they're accountable to people. People get excited. When I was just starting out in business, I used to call myself managing director because the title sounded very nice. But the whole thing was I wanted to own this thing. But so many times you have people who are much better than you, even though the vision is yours. So it's very important to be accountable. Another thing about teamwork, is that I've learned business is like marriage. You know, so many times I want you to be you for me to be me. And it doesn't work like that. If you're in business and you have a partner, you must listen to them. You must make compromises. I have a very quiet partner, but she's so tough. Like now she's sending me messages, time, time, time. But the thing is this, you have to cut that balance, yeah? Because again, you have to look at the overall goals of what you want to achieve. Otherwise, you won't achieve much, because in this day and age, I need them because they need to teach me about blockchain. They need me to tell them what you people are thinking. We all need each other somewhere. That's why social media is there. So it's going to be very hard for you to do work on your own. That's how farming becomes subsistence. Because you do farming, you go when you're tired and pluck out one maize and eat it and go to bed and then say, I'm poor, you know? So essentially you'll need people, and because you'll need people, you need to learn relationships. Incidentally, we have these courses, as I'll explain to you later. The other thing I've learned about all this today, while I was still on social media and while Adrian was talking, I looked at this picture and it said volumes to me. So many times you say, I want to be in fashion, okay? And challenges will make you question whether you made the right choice. So many times I've sat with my partner and I'm like, did we really make the right choice? Is it worth investing all this money in pencil talks? Where are we going to get the money for the next pencil talks? Because all these things, people need allowances and all this stuff. So are we really doing the right thing? Is that what we want to do? And then you approach people who you are sure are going to help you, and then they say, yes, we are going to help you, and that's the last you ever hear from them. But you see, that's what tests your vision. That's what tests what you're really about. Because if your main reason was about money, then you wouldn't want the water to even reach you just below the knee. Because it was never your thing, yeah? This guy, Adrian, spoke for a while and said for 2 years they did not have a salary. Can you go for 2 years without a salary? Most of us want to write CEO because you see Mark Zuckerberg doing it, and you want to drive a big car, and then you get there and then you realize business has debts, it has risk, it has people laughing at you, and then you realize it's all not necessary for you, okay? So it is important that your vision is tested by adversary. I can't stress this enough. Today's Pencil Talks is about that. Challenges, challenges, challenges. Walk through the water, test your ideas, improve yourself, be open to learning, okay? Lastly, we have a package that we are offering. If you could help me play the video. I realized that, have you noticed every time people tell you, 99.9% of the time when people tell you, I thought, like I always tell my sister, we were supposed to meet for lunch 2 weeks ago, and she told me they're on their way. So when she called me back and told me, we have reached, she was with my mother. So when she called me and told me, we have reached, I said, but I thought you are just moving. But the real thing is I assumed. You get it, eh? In Africa, that's what we do. So I said, I thought, and you know, I was really strong on my thing. I thought, no, Faith, you're the one who told me. No, I thought, you get it. But the truth of the matter is I had not thought through the whole thing critically, yeah? And I realized that 90% of the policies we have in Uganda, the way people reason, I saw when this musician died, Mose Radio, 2 weeks later, that's when police is going to check for what really happened. 2 weeks later, the guy has been buried. Critical thinking, yes? So we have a course, because we are trying to partner with some people from Australia. They're called Professional Development Training. And we have a course called Diamond Ages for critical thinking. It will help to boost your mind. Truly, there. Have you ever been on a board and you ask the guy, Omanyi Erubaga, then he says, you know, I call it the sweet potato effect. Eh? When you eat sweet potatoes a lot, that's like, half the time we are all reasoning like that in our different levels as people. Because I insisted to my young sister, I told her, I thought, but the truth is I had not thought, I assumed. Okay? We also have so many other things there. For example, swimming and floating. So many people tell you they're doing business, but they're really floating. It's just for media. You get it? So many times we have a lot of data we don't need. There's a difference between insights and information. For example, if I tell you you're wearing a striped shirt, that's information. Insight is what it means for you to wear the striped shirt. I'll tell you, there is a beer company, Budweiser, and I'm going to close on this. Budweiser did research, and they did research that men were buying beer and walking and buying Pampers, okay? So some guy who did this research went and said, so what? I mean, yeah, so men buy Pampers. No, men go to buy beer. As they're buying beer, the wives will always say, Mkwan, come on, a pamper, you know? Okay, you have to be married to understand it. But you'll get it with time. If you'll have children with time, yeah? So this guy asks, so what's the problem? I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me. The owner of Budweiser says, that's rubbish because people buy things in the supermarket. So some guy walks up to him and tells him, put $1 million on my account and I tell you what you need with this information. And he went to the Pampers company and told them, put $1 million on my account and I will tell you what you need to do with this information. So what happened? They went to Walmart and put Budweiser, the beers, just next to the Pampers. Pampers sales went up 30%, Budweiser went up 90%. After that, Budweiser has never looked back. You know why? Because now men found it easy, because there is something about habit. Habit happens over 3 days. So when this guy buys Pampers, or he's going to buy beer and the wife is asking for Pampers, every time he's buying beers, he's also buying Pampers. And that's how those two businesses have grown to extend all over the world. So do you see that information could not be used by even the owners, but someone had the insight as to what it meant, okay? Have you ever wondered why there are very many beautiful girls on every TV station? Even when they are talking about cars, you'll see a beautiful girl on the cars because people are drawn to beauty. It's psychology. So someone got the insight and they're using it. You get it? So we have a product that does all that. So, and there are numbers there, the numbers on those screens, and you could also send us an email, and you could be part of a select group of people. We're already doing it with a few security people who we cannot divulge here because of our contract. We are trying to do it with the police because they need to think critically. But you also need to think critically, and you need to think critically, especially right now when the economy is thought to be very damp. Otherwise, thank you for coming. We're going to communicate the next Pencil Talks. The next time we're here, we're going to have a mind series on the mind. How do you program your mind? And we shall have a professor here on deprogramming and programming, and someone else on making the big sell. Thank you for coming. Thank you for believing in us. If you want to be a part of the course, the Diamond Ages course, please leave your name there at the desk and tell us how you're comfortable us contacting you, and we shall inform you when the classes are ready. It's for a small group. We don't want it for so many people, so it is important for you people to take this opportunity. We love you, we believe in you, and as usual, we want you to think, talk, and then move. God bless you.